everyone! Today we're going to go over Monk. Starting first with our general actions and our rule actions. So, let's put our limit break where it normally goes. Right here on the double, that's when you press it twice. Sprint is going to go into system configuration, button configuration, execute macro 99. Macro 99. Bold is optional. And so therefore I don't need to place it. If you want to view it, I guess you could have it on a separate hotbar, but I don't keep sprint on my double. I just don't. So then we've got our role actions, which, seeing as I've already done the setup for Samurai, Dragoon, and Ninja, where I have everything exactly the same, of course Monk will have all of its role actions in the same place. So here's True North, Second Wind, Bloodbath all into our emergency section. Feint is considered a party mitigation, so you can reduce boss damage. Arm's Length is our anti-knockback. And then Left Sweep goes on the primary. Right here. Up next we have our GCDs. And Monk is interesting because not only does it have positionals, it also has forms, and I'm going to try to keep them kind of together. So previously we established that this is the rear side, and this is the flank side. And as such, I've already separated rear and flank. And then for our forms, we're going to keep them in order. So we're going to have Opa, then Raptor, then Quirrell, and the same thing here. So, bring this down. That's Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, Snap Punch, and on the other side, Bootshine, True Strike, and Demolish. This should help to remember which ones are rear and flank, but also how you're combining them when you're switching between the different stances. And of course, we need our AoE. That goes on the Expanded, which is left and right together. And although I won't show it in the video, everything I do on this side is repeated because I don't have it set to use the same bar, which you could do. So we're going to have, of course, our Opa, which is Armor the Destroyer, and our Raptor, Warform Fury, and our Korra, Rockbreaker. Easy so far. So normally I would go, what is our mobility? And the thing about Monk is that it doesn't have a ranged attack. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have something for you to use during downtime or in approaching downtime. So approaching downtime, therefore you can't finish your entire combo, you got 6-sided star. And during downtime, you could try to form shift. There's other things you could do. There are guides for that, this is not one of them. This is a guide on controller setup. And so because of that, we're going to assign them to our mobility spots, which normally would be this section right here, right? And if we can, also on the AoE side. But we've got 2 of them, and you might need both of these in a single target. So what I'm going to choose is put Form Shift here, and 6-sided star there. You may want to switch them, but the reasoning for it is that I am usually more heavy on the right side, and 6-sided star, being level 80, would not be available if you were synced, and thus Form Shift is going to be used more. And it's also a truer mobility than 6-sided star is. However, if all you do is 80 content, you really might prefer to switch them around. And on the AoE side, I would recommend form shift. But if you want to switch it to a 6-sided star, you can. So now we've got our remaining oGCDs. We do have a few rules still to account for, even though our shared actions are already taken care of. I do have other rules. So the first one is, of course, our jump forward, which would be on the double, and that would be shoulder tackle. Next, we need to have our party buff. So that should be Brotherhood, right here. And we also usually have a self buff, which would be Riddle of Fire. And for this section right here, which is this over here, it is either another self buff or another party mitigation. In the case of Monk, I will put Mantra here, because ideally if I have both, it would be party mitigation first, then self buff. Because we do have other sections that could be just fine for more self buffs. And regarding Riddle of Earth, right, it kind of acts like a True North, but it also has damage reduction, so in that sense it's really great to have it in the emergency section. It's just very appropriate. These do damage, so they're not going to go up top. Meditation kind of does damage when it changes forms. It's different, but it does do it. So that leaves, for potentially going up top, our forms, Natman, and Perfect Balance. Well, Perfect Balance, you could say, is sort of a resource. It's not really, but since I have the spot, we're going to treat it like it is. And Enlightenment will go right next to it. So for our forms, I'm going to place them on the D-pad. Because in certain content, you won't be switching too much, depending on the type of content. In the content where you do, it is my understanding, and I could be wrong, that it's not done extremely often, and so being on the D-pad should be okay. But if I'm wrong, just let me know in the comment section. I am not a monk main. I'm very honest, I'm a healer main. And that is what I am. But there is another reason for why they have to go here, and that's because we're going to be placing these, and those are simply higher priority. And this D-pad is more accessible than that D-pad. You probably noticed that I have a few more actions. I repeated them, that's fine. There's a reason for this. So for our damage abilities, we've got Elixir Field, Tornado Kick, Enlightenment, and Meditation, which turns into Forbidden Chakra, which shares a recast with Enlightenment. As such, technically speaking, right, there should be no reason for me to want Enlightenment on the main bar, but that's not exactly quite true. We are going to actually want all 4 of these placed. And the reason behind that is because while I may call the Expanded the AoE side, Monk, I mean, it's true for many of the jobs, but it's especially true for Monk. Depending on how many enemies you have, you may not want to AoE, or you may want to partially do AoE, and Monk definitely has a good bit of that, based on the guides I've seen, where depending on if you have 2 or 3 enemies rather than 4 or more, you may partially do, maybe the first one here and then switch into the AoE or another combination. And so you're kind of switching between the regular and the expanded a good bit. And therefore it would be useful, just in case, to have the AoE ability, since we have the spot for it on the primary, in case you want to use it for 2 enemies. Because I do believe the potencies should be such that 370 is still less than 440, which is Enlightenment with 2 enemies. But to signify that, we're going to put them on the same spot. So Meditation, which turns into Forbidden Chakra, will go here, and Enlightenment will go there. And for these two, it doesn't matter. This is fine. Or this, whichever. We're then going to repeat that on the AoE side, but you might notice a conflict. Which one do I put here? Right? Because in this case, they're both there. There are two solutions to this. We're not going to move Leg Sweep, that's not happening, because it's shared with all the other jobs that have a stun. Not even just all the other melee, it's literally any job that has a stun. It goes right here. So we could either move Enlightenment and Fist of Wind, or accept that when it comes to the AoE side, we'll have one thing that's different from the primary. I'm going to choose to go with the Acceptance version, but if you don't like it, you are certainly free to switch Enlightenment and Fist of Wind around, and then adjust accordingly here so that it matches. I'm going to put Enlightenment here, and Meditation there. Because if you are AoEing, you probably would prefer Enlightenment, but maybe as you're walking up to the monsters, you're going to want to do Meditate or something. And that could just be very useful, because you do get to open up all your 5 chakra. So if you're walking like this to the enemies, maybe there's 4 of them, you could do a meditation first, and then go to your arm. And of course, repeat all this on the other side. And that is Monk. Alright, it's time for our summary. On the primary, we've got Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, Snap Punch, Form Shift, Tornado Kick, Forbidden Chakra, Elixir Field, Leg Sweep. On the left side, still on the primary, we've got Bootshine, True Strike, Demolish, Six-Sided Star, Fist of Fire, Enlightenment, Fist of Earth, and Fist of Wind. Possible alternatives will be switching Six-Sided Star and Form Shift, and switching Enlightenment and Fist of Wind. Then, on the Expanded, which is left and right together, we've got Armor the Destroyer, 4-Point Fury, Rock Breaker, Form Shift, Tornado Kick, Enlightenment, Elixir Field, Forbidden Chakra, and this would be repeated on the other side as well. Alternatives would be switching these two around depending on whether you did an alternative method here. Then in our double, we've got Shoulder Tackle, Brotherhood, Perfect Balance, Enlightenment, Mantra, Feint, Arm's Length, and Riddle of Fire. Still on the double, but on the left side, we've got Riddle of Earth, Bloodbath, Second Wind, True North, Limit Break, and 3 spots for potions. Alright, that's it for the melee, which means tanks! Oh yay! Tanks! See you soon!